Hi, and welcome to another episode of Nursing Your Way to Wealth, where a mental health nurse and an accountant talk about wealth creation, personal development, and financial independence in the UK to help you live the life you deserve. Hello, welcome back. This is episode 63. So, we're going to do the exact same kind of plan for the show. So, we'll do a short intro. We've got actually a really good listener question this week. So, thank you for that. We'll do a quick return on heartbeats. The main body of the show is about solar panels and whether they can speed up your path to financial independence, whether or not we think they're worth it, because one of us has had them fitted to our house for a couple of months now. So we'll do a little bit of an in-depth review on something like that as well. We've got a reasonable or ridiculous, which involves the app Vinted, and then we'll do a quick summary. So firstly, as an introduction, I listened to the book by Rob Dix called Seven Myths About Money. It's decent. I learned quite a lot from it. It's quite succinct. It's not kind of filled with guff that you don't need. And he does present some like up to date real world views for the current kind of climate. It includes a lot of stuff about COVID, etc. So if you are kind of dipping your toes into finances and you want a short-ish book, I think it's 5 hours-ish long. And you've got some spare Audible credits, I would suggest that is worth your time. The question we've had this week is come from a friend of a friend. So this one is from a chap called Ben. So Ben, thank you very much. But I saw him in person last weekend, and he said to me, "I'm on board with the index fund investing. I get it. I'm kind of putting some of my salary towards indexing, etc. However, I don't want to give Tesla any money whatsoever if I can help it at all. Can I build, or is there an index fund that means I can exclude Tesla as a company, but you could extrapolate that to being any company?" And to be honest, I didn't know the answer, so I thought I would ask our accountant for some expertise. So, Alex, do you have any thoughts on anything about Rob Dix's book, but also about Ben's question?
Yeah, I think on the book, I would agree with your sentiment. I think it's a decent read, not too long, covers quite a lot of bases, and I really like his idea of kind of bucketing your kind of savings into different, bucketing them. I can't remember the the actual buckets he used actually, but um, yeah, I thought that was quite an interesting way of approaching personal finance. Um, on the question on index funds, that's a good one. Honestly, I don't think there is a fund which just excludes a particular company. So there's variations where you can see often like ethical funds. So there will be a big index fund but might exclude kind of oil producers, cigarette companies, and alcohol companies. But there won't be one which just excludes Tesla. To manufacture your own index fund based off to essentially buy a share of each one would be so expensive and a bit of a fool's errand. So definitely wouldn't try and do it. I think my view is you either accept that Elon Musk is your opinion is of him whatever it is, but he owns Tesla, and that's a big proportion of the US stock market. Um, it carries, I think, maybe like 1 or 2% of the whole weighting of that index, and you just accept that, or and maybe don't buy a Tesla rather than don't buy Tesla stock, or you just want to avoid US altogether, and you can then get funds which are kind of potentially developed markets or total stock markets excluding US. So yes, theoretically you could just buy every single share in a global index fund individually to get yourself that exposure and just miss out Tesla, but it would cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds to do that. And I would hate to see your dealing bill commission, your dealing fees. So I think it's best to either just accept it for what it is and know that there's only a very small fraction of your money that would actually be in Tesla, um, or you to completely get rid of it, you just avoid the US completely. But yeah, if it was me, just accept it for what it is. There's plenty of other people who run companies who are probably worse than Elon Musk. Um, but yeah, if you're so averse to it, then I would just avoid US altogether as a way that you buy a fund which does that. Although that probably isn't the best thing for your long-term returns.
Yeah, I was thinking kind of on my kind of drive home after I spoke to Ben, and in the similar lines to you, like madness to try and set up your own index fund. Absolutely like fool's errand, for sure. In terms of excluding specific companies, I've done a little bit of research, not exhaustive, but I can't find anything that makes that simple, particularly, um, unless you perhaps use an act like a financial advisor and you ask them to use specific stocks and say do not pick this one for these
Hmm.
reasons. The amount of money really we're talking you're going to end up giving to that to Tesla as a company is going to be so minute it's not going to make the difference or perhaps move the needle. But I would say probably, Ben, here I would make your peace with it that it's fractions of pounds, and don't buy any of the cars. To be honest, that would probably be the thing that I would do. I certainly wouldn't go on an errand of piecing together your own fund or like spreading it that way
Yeah,
whatsoever.
it will have no effect on Elon Musk if you don't buy a fractional share in his company.
No,
So,
exactly, exactly. It'll make no
so
difference.
yeah, I wouldn't be too panicked about it, to be honest.
No, and I'm also I'd have a slight concern about excluding the US in kind of your index investing. It's kind of 60% plus of the weighting for the global index, and by weighting we mean like market cap for that. So generally, for example, the UK is somewhere between 3 to 4% of a global fund. The US is somewhere between 60 and 65. So if like Apple as a company is bigger than the entire UK kind of slice of those index funds, and I wouldn't want you to miss out on perhaps the growth that you could achieve just because you want to boycott a single company. We want to help you get richer. Yeah, not create divides. So, Ben, hopefully that helps. If you've got any other questions, just wing them my way or our way, and we'll figure those out. Um, do you think that answers it? Should we move to return on heartbeats?
Yes, I think that answers that question.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you for your input, though. Kind of glad to know that we're thinking along the same lines, and I'm just not totally way off on something like that. But in terms of return on heartbeats, this is a small segment we do, something Alex and I have done or have learned about that we feel is a good return on the heartbeats we have because those are limited. So this one, I took my coffee machine, like my espresso machine, grinder, scales, etc., a big bag of beans into work this week. We've had a bit more of a relaxed working week, so I've been making people like either straight espressos or long black coffees, or I've actually learned some like milk steaming as well because one of my colleagues, weirdly also called Alex, but Alexandra this time, she used to work in a like a coffee shop. She used to be a barista, so she was like, "This is how this works." So I've learned something nice out of that, and a lot of people have had like nicer coffees, and they've not had to go to like Costa or whatever. It's down the road. So I've had pretty good feedback as well, and it makes me happy knowing that. So that's my quick return on heartbeat. And really, Alex, over to the main body here is solar panels. You've had them fitted to your house for a couple of months, I think. And we're just going to talk about whether they can speed up your journey to becoming financially free. Just to get some thoughts on it now. Perhaps now the excitement of having them has dipped a little bit. You get some like stats or figures certainly on something like that. And in terms of cost savings as well, because if it reduces your expected financial need, like per year in the future, then automatically your fine number that you're aiming for reduces as well. So, Alex, I'll pass to you for some more detail on that.
Yeah, thanks. So this is something which if you'd have asked me 6 months ago, would I want solar panels? I definitely would have said no. But then I did some research and with an eye on and having really zero background in it, got some proposals from different companies, and it actually became quite compelling. And for me, there's a few angles. One is a financial angle, but another one is there's certainly an environmental benefit that you have a less heavy footprint on the environment. And thirdly, it was more like just energy independence was another one. So what I'll do, I can just talk through that kind of the system that we got, how it kind of was set up, what that means kind of on a day-to-day basis, and some of the numbers around that. Um, and the numbers like financially and also some of the environmental ones. So I guess it was we had some I guess some additional savings from our because we rent out one of our rooms. We built up a bit of cash there, and usually it just gets saved in a savings account, which is almost ring fenced to then pay off a lump of the mortgage when the mortgage rate becomes higher than the interest rate that we get on our savings. And so we had a bit of cash sitting around and started to look at, and this was at the time of like I was probably a bit after the Ukraine invasion, but you kind of realize how dependent countries and people are on energy from third parties. And I love the idea of just being completely independent of anybody and anything. And so I started to look at different options around solar panels. So to give you an idea, we live in a three-story townhouse and we have a south facing front and a north facing back. And we've got 11, no, 13 solar panels on our roof. And what that means is, so during the winter, they're essentially fairly obsolete in that you would still, I guess, you look at solar panels within a 12-month period, and so from kind of winter time, you're going to be generating maybe a small amount of electric, a small amount of electric from your solar panels, but because the sun's quite low, you have to supplement some of that potentially with electric from the grid that you buy. But then come summertime or spring, summer, you're going to be generating um, so many, so much electricity from your solar panels that so you will use all that in your use it in your house. You have a battery, so we bought a battery and an inverter for our system. So you're actually able to store electric, and then anything that's over and above that, it sells to the grid. And you have to have a specific tariff, and all the energy companies have a specific tariff which allows you to sell electricity to the grid. Um, and so to give you an idea of what that means, so we just got our bill through for April. So it was middle of March to the middle of April, and we had not been charged for electricity because we've not used any because we've generated it through solar panels, and we earned £40 from selling electricity to the grid, which has which has covered our gas bill, which was £20. So over the course of a year, and we're expecting to generate within April about 10 kilowatts a day of electricity from the solar panels. And we've actually generated probably on average about 20 because the weather's been quite nice. So today for example, it's super sunny where I am. We've generated 25 kilowatts of electric. The proposal that we got given was they assumed 10 kilowatts per April. So it's kind of performing better than we expected. Um, and essentially over the course of 12 months, would expect to our electricity to not have an electricity bill because we will generate our electric for usage. We'll generate that through solar, and then the amount that we will export to the grid will pay for our gas bill. So it effectively eliminates our utility bill, and that utility bill was around about I think it averages out about £110 a month as it was before, £120 a month when you factor in like the winter months and stuff. Um, and so it's about 12 to £1,400 a year saving on our on our gas bill and our electric bill. But looking at what we're doing now, we're actually going to be looks like we're going to be selling a lot more than we expected. Um, so that's kind of the ins and outs. So we've got our solar panels, we have a battery, And the idea being you charge your battery up during the day, and then at night time when there's no more sun, you use your battery and then you drain the battery. And then overnight, if there's any left, it sells it to the grid. And during the day, any excess that's not charged the battery and not being used goes to the grid. So, I mean, just looking for today, we've exported what 20 kilowatts of electricity to the grid, and I've been working at home all day as well. So I've cooked my breakfast, my lunch, and worked all day and exported 20 kilowatts. So it's about £4 what we get for that. So it's not mega money each day, but over the year it adds up. So that also means if we're looking from a FI perspective, there's essentially no more electricity bill and no more utility bill. The system lasts a minimum for 25 years. So only after that point would we have to either install new ones. But that should be unlikely because they go from operating at 100% to I think it's about 90% in that time. So they should still be generating electricity, but just not as much as they are now. So, and that, call it £1,000 or £1,500 a year. If you times that by 25, there's about 25,000 to £30,000. That's how much less we need in our portfolio to support essentially the electricity bill. Yes, so that's our in a nutshell. And then I can go into the numbers and what our system cost us and what that means for payback and everything. But I don't know if there's any initial questions after my ramblings of solar.
Yeah, no, I like the solar ramblings. I've just been squiggling like some questions down. You actually answered a few of them. So the first thing I wrote down was like battery replacement or warranty, and then you said it should last 25 years. But the other thing I was thinking about around that is, as with like a lot of tech, the early adopters kind of pay a little bit more for things because it's new and it's not been like all the wrinkles haven't been ironed out. But over time, they should get cheaper to produce. So what it's cost you now, it's not going to cost you the same amount in 25 years' time. That's if you even still live in your house at that point. Um, but yeah, so it's probably going to get cheaper to replace. You've had all the wiring, etc. The battery, I assume,
Mm-hmm.
will still function, and even functioning at 90% is still good, I would say. And the other thing is, you say it's only saving you £4 a day. There's loads of kind of chat videos, etc., YouTube wise, on what saving and investing £4 a day that you would have spent on coffee can do for you over the
Yeah.
long run. And it's just another bit of money you don't now have to find.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. Um, so it is, and it goes up throughout the summer months. So we'd expect as you go through to July, August, or June, July, August, you've got like the really high sun, and
Mm.
so that's where you get most of your benefit. Um, and so, for example, you get a proposal from the person that implements your system. So they're expecting us to be generating about 15 kilowatts a day in June, but we at the minute are doing a load more than we're doing about 25 or take about 20 in April. So I expect and that's relevant for like the payback of how much money you're going to be generating. I actually expect that to come down, um, the
Yeah, and
payback
it like
period.
averages out, doesn't it, over the year? Like it will
Correct.
be like a broad average over
That's
the
right.
time. Some days will be sunny, some days won't. Like, kind of is what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like how long will it take you? Say it on the lower end, it saves you like between £1,000 and £1,200 on your gas and electric bills per year. How like what's the payoff factor? Like how many years will it take that kind of save you the money you've spent on having it installed?
Yeah, so it'll take about 7 years, 7 and a bit years to get the money back.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
and
quite
you.
a long term. So I should have said this at the beginning. It's a really long term commitment. Um,
Hmm.
so
And you guys are staying put for that period of time. Like you're not going to sell your house in between, or
no, that's right. And I,
unlikely.
yeah, it's unlikely. And I guess there's two factors with it. One is you get the saving, like you are earning money from selling to the grid and you're not paying your electricity bill. So then that's one way of earning. But the other way, it's because your house will then very likely become like an A-rated energy efficiency, have an A-rating energy efficiency. There is a premium on those. Um, so there's no definitive amount that your house would increase by having solar panels, but from doing some research before we made the decision, it's anywhere from between 1% and 4%, I think, is the increase in your house value by going from by essentially getting that A rating energy efficiency. So there's a kicker on that regard, but you only ever know that. I guess it would be so impossible to isolate that impact that you you kind of can't count that as money in the pocket.
No, no, for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't factor that into like stuff. It's just nice to have. Perhaps it might draw more viewers or buyers to your house. Maybe I'm assuming then. So, for example, hypothetically, you guys, you do move, you sell and you move. Does all of that kit? Obviously, it stays with the house. You're not going to undo it,
Correct.
take it with you. But is it? Does the new owner just get the financial benefit of that? You don't have any stake in it at all now.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay, because I've heard before about some. If someone's put solar on, they still have some kind of say in something. They get some kickback or whatever. Um, I think, yeah. I mean, I get that it appeals to reducing your general outgoings, which is fine. Takes a tiny bit of pressure off those, I suppose. Do you? And I know obviously the figures, the number bits of it will you'll enjoy that in terms of your how your brain works, the accountancy aspects of it. Do you regret having it done? Like how many months have you had them for? Because this is like the first spring and summer,
It's
right?
it. Yeah. So we got it installed the end of November. So this is now the first time that we're actually seeing the benefit of it, really. So even I think during February, we started to generate um, electricity and essentially we like halved our electricity bill even within February, and now it's starting to really pay off and paying
Mm.
off a lot higher than what was originally forecast in our proposal. So um, we're generating more than we expected. So I at the minute I don't regret having it. Um, so in terms of but it's quite a lot of money. It was about £9,000 to install the system. So it's quite the investment.
Yeah, it's not an impulse weekend buy, is it?
No, it definitely wasn't. Um, and then to in terms of having over the life from an environmental standpoint, it's the equivalent of so in terms of carbon dioxide, it's like 720 kilos that gets saved every year. And in over the lifetime of the system, that's the equivalent of 15 long haul flights, the equivalent of planting 139 trees and not driving 22,000 miles in a car. So there's an environmental element to having them. But then the other thing is we're almost apart from the gas, which you are dependent on um, a third party for electric, and most of our appliances run on electric. We're not reliant on having a electricity provider, certainly for the summer and spring. So that's quite a thing. So honestly, it's a real on a in terms of like rate of return on investment, it's about 12.5% a year. If you just is the return that you get, um, but that's across the 25 years.
Yeah. And
So
like so obviously some will be lower, some will be higher, etc. And it
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, balance out in the end. It'll be interesting to do like a 20-year update
it
and
will. Yeah,
see where you're at that point. You're either like, this is great, I'm rolling in extra money, or I absolutely hate it, it's needed X and Y or whatever. Yeah, I didn't think of the environmental things. I come at it just purely like a financial head of how
hmm
much money monthly or annually will it save me.
yeah,
But actually, planting what 139 trees
yes,
is great.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think like as we go into like a different, cleaner energy production, um, stuff like this to not insulate you from the grid, but it means on as push comes to shove, you then don't have an electricity supply for whatever reason. You can run just on your battery
Mhm.
solar power um, for possibly the majority of your day, or you'd at least have some coverage. So, like, I've had loads of power cuts here recently because our neighbours have had some electrical work done and it's impacted our kind of sockets, whatever.
Mm.
And it's a huge nightmare. So actually, if we had kind of a battery, it would have been like streamlined. It doesn't actually matter if you have grid power or not because you have some stored up electricity. Um,
Yeah, that's it. So like now we've got our battery is full, and so that will last when I cook dinner. Um, that then we'll just use the battery, and we're still generating a little bit of electric as well from that. So it's one of those where it's you are talking quite large sums of money. It's long-term paybacks. It does essentially eliminate your electricity bill and
hmm,
potentially pays for your gas bill. And it's quite nice being sat here selling electricity to the grid, earning a few quid a day doing that. Um,
yeah,
so it's not for everyone. And yeah, so we're still in almost the first season of high sun. So at the minute, it's performing better than what we expected. So I imagine the payback will start to come down if that
yeah,
continues. But yeah, that is currently, but yeah, how that works. So we got it installed to a company called Contact Solar, who are part of EDF, who is our provider, and went to uh, a few different companies to get quotes. Some are absolute boiler rooms who just try and sell you as much. So one company, I won't name them just in case one of them's listening, although I highly doubt that. But it's like they were offering, I think the price was £16,000, or it would increase to 18,000, or it might have been 14,000, but then would increase to 16,000 the next day if we didn't buy it like there and then. I was like, absolutely not. Like,
yeah. No way. That is shady as hell.
yeah. So, and there was a lot of haggling with the current company as well to get the price down. But yeah, for now, I think I like it. Um, and yeah, but it's definitely not for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Obviously, I kind of understand you would haggle it a little bit, but it would be interesting to know how much money you got off. But I was thinking about in terms of like retirement or moving into retirement. You could do something like this whilst you're still earning. Perhaps when you have no mortgage, you have a bit of extra cash. Because what it can do then is reduce your monthly cash flow like requirement. You need less money on
Exactly.
a monthly basis. So if a little
Yeah.
bit up front, you could perhaps use, I don't know, some of your pension lump sum tax free to reduce your ongoing monthly costs, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much did
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
manage to knock off the bill?
So I guess you never know, but it was maybe a couple of thousand to get off the price.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
because there's different elements of. I mean, the solar panels themselves don't cost a lot of money. The battery and the inverter cost quite a bit, and then it's the installation. And we're a three-story house, so it means we needed scaffolding. So we had a huge scaffolding job, went right over the top of the house. So it's quite a invasive thing, but it was done in the scaffolding was up for 2 weeks and it was installed in one day. Um, and then they monitor it. You've got an app that you get as part of it, and then that monitors the performance.
Hmm. Oh, cool. And the app doesn't have any monthly fees.
No, no, it's all included.
Oh, cool. Okay. I've learned a lot about it. I've made some extra notes and stuff. I'm just thinking as like reducing your monthly costs. Like they can only go like so low, and it's your income that can go like there's no ceiling for your income, perhaps. But
Yeah.
in terms of spending a little bit whilst you are earning to reduce your cash flow later,
Mm.
I think it would be certainly something to think about.
It's definitely worth looking at. Certainly, if you've got, say, like a big garden, and I think you'll see quite a lot of like farmers' fields are full of solar panels. It can be very lucrative because they're literally just installing them, and then it's a battery and it gets sold. It's that type of setup. It could be fairly. yeah, really worthwhile. Or if you've got a big roof, because a panel themselves, I think it's like 100 quid for the solar panel. It's really not a lot for the actual thing. It's yeah, installing it, which is the expensive bit. So if you've got a big roof, it's not that much more expensive to say go from 10 to 20 to 30 panels, but the benefit is then exponential.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking. Like, obviously, I live in Kent, right? So I see a lot of fields of solar panels, especially by the coast
Hmm.
areas in land that isn't suitable to be built on. It's like too close to the sea, etc.,
Yeah,
or something. It doesn't falls foul of some regs or something. Yeah, combined with like wind power as well. I see quite a lot of those tool generating things like big fans that spin, generate some extra money. So yeah, it could be an idea if you have got an extra large garden or a spare field or whatever.
that's it.
You could add something to that. Okay. Um, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to mention? Solar panels or
No, no, that was it. It was really just to give some, because they're quite opaque, some of the things that you'll see. So I thought trying to put some numbers to it and what that means might help somebody if they're in that decision,
yeah,
if they're thinking about it or not. But
yeah,
yeah, it's almost the spend it now to eliminate the cost later and
yeah,
give yourself some security. It's all around that security bucket as yeah,
yeah. So his
budgeting that
Rob Dix's buckets are
protect bucket.
protect, maintain, and improve.
That's
But
it.
yeah, that would be a
So
protect bucket, wouldn't it? And actually maintains your lifestyle. So it
yes, so
probably
yeah,
branches into both buckets. Yeah.
straddles those two, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it improves your life as well. If there's humongous power cuts, we have infrastructure problems or something like that, you can still make breakfast. Yeah. Um, okay. In terms of so we'll pass the remainder of the main body. I'd call that done. But in terms of reasonable or ridiculous, you said you've been selling some stuff recently on Vinted, um, and we need some
Yes.
extra info on it to whether I can call that reasonable or ridiculous. So how many items have you sold? How much money have you made? And how much time has it taken you?
Reasonable or ridiculous?
Yeah. So these are items. So I've been selling across Vinted and eBay, actually. So I've got, um, and yeah, just want to get your thoughts on whether it's worth it or not. And something has literally just come in on eBay, which might change your decision. Um, so I had these are part of like a spring clean, getting rid of some old stuff. So I had like a laptop bag that I never used, a trench coat that I've not worn for about 4 years. I got a tie. So those were sold on Vinted in total for £24.50. The I only had there's a shop down the road that we do a lunchtime walk when I work from home, and we passed this shop, and we were able to just send the parcels through that shop on our way, and it's just like an online app thing that allows you to do it. So I earned £24.50 from Vinted on those three items. It probably took me maybe 10 minutes per item to take the pictures and generate a um, generate the pictures and all that, the description, I mean. And so that was, and I've still got three items unsold on there. And I've also selling an old football shirt, which it was a signed football shirt. And I have now just received an offer for 100 quid for that shirt. Um, so I think I will accept that. Um, and then, yeah, just I also have previously sold on eBay a old blazer, which I sold for £40. And I also sold some collar stiffeners, but they were lost in the post. That wasn't my fault, but so I had to refund the chap for that. But I would love to get your opinion if it's reasonable or ridiculous to be selling some of my old stuff. It can exclude my football shirt for now, but for those kind of
I've added your
items,
football shirt in
oh
my
yeah,
thinking
oh
because I've
you
scribbled it down. Yeah,
perfect, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So broadly, then you've sold four items. You've made 124.50, and it's taken you roughly 40 minutes plus a walk to the shop that you would do anyway. You would walk by the shop anyway as part of your lunchtime walk, which I find cute. You guys walking somewhere after lunch. Do you
yep.
walk before lunch or after?
We walk so before breakfast and after lunch.
Okay.
And
yeah, just from a health point of view, it's better for your glycemic index, your insulin response, to walk after food rather than before.
Yeah.
But I mean, both is good, right? So
Yeah.
you've made quite a lot from that. I would say, given your figures, it's worth doing. If you were making £2 or £3 per item, I would say it's not worth doing. So
Yeah.
in this case, reasonable. If you're making far, far less, then I would say it's ridiculous, depending on how much your hourly rate is, right? So you spent 40 minutes to make £124, not thinking about kind of costs in the beginning, like to buy any of these things, etc. But so yeah, reasonable to make that much. If you make £30 an item, you're doing 40 minutes work for £12. I would say I would question it. Is it more than your hourly rate at work, or is it less? I'd also
Yeah.
think about whether you enjoy doing it or not, or
Yeah.
whether it's quicker just to donate to a charity shop. If you get some enjoyment out of it, then it adds another layer of kind of.
Definitely. I love it. I love selling it. I love getting money in. But I also think like with the hourly rate thing, I know that there's like that's like the logical. I mean, it might be worth a separate episode on this because I would completely get it if you calculate your hourly rate and then the difference is, well, if I can actually then go to work for an extra hour and actually get that money, whereas most people get a salary and irrespective of how many hours they work,
Yes. True.
then it's almost like if you're an investment banker, you'd be like, oh, your hourly rate could be quite big, but it's not like if you then go do another hour, you get an extra £100 or whatever. So
yeah,
it's
might
like
work
from
differently
a
for
cash in the bank standpoint.
or people who are self-employed. Could they do an extra plumbing job for an
100%.
hour and make whatever money
Yes.
they'll make? Might be a slightly different
I
story.
think it's super relevant there. Yeah, super relevant.
Like that.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, reasonable
Okay.
for
So
me. If you enjoy doing it,
I think
better.
my signed Kaka shirt has just swung the ridiculous into reasonableness.
That's it. Yeah. How did you get it signed? Obviously signed by the player, right?
Yeah, I bought it as a signed thing years and years and years ago.
Was it more than
Like when I was at
£100?
university. It was around that price. But it's been in the garage for years and I'd rather have £100.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Should we do a summary? Do you want me to do it or you?
Yeah. Oh, you can do it. I've been talking for
Yeah, fine.
hours.
Okay, so a quick summary of episode 63. Try and keep it below 40 minutes. So, yeah, solar power on the way to financial independence. We've talked, no, actually, firstly, we talked about Rob Dix's book, The 7 Myths About Money. We both rate it. It's good. Ben's question about whether you can remove a specific company from an index fund. Yes, you can. It's not worth the cost or time. We would suggest you suck it up and enjoy the gains. Return on Heartbeats, taking a coffee machine into work has been a great success for me. I've learned a lot about it and kind of made some of my colleagues happy. In return, kind of thoughts about solar panels. Currently, Alex loves them. He thinks they're great. Thinking about the upfront cost compared with saving yourself recurring monthly costs, I think there's some stress relief there perhaps as well. You could think about it to ease your cash flow into retirement, something you could do with your 25% tax-free thing from your pension or something like that. It could be a useful thing to do as well. Also, haggle if you are going to do that, and don't buy into the if you buy it today it's X amount, if you buy it tomorrow it's Y amount. Those people are not, they're not your friends. In terms of reasonable or ridiculous, I think it's reasonable of Alex to sell some of these items given their value. It makes it worth his time to do, especially the walk at lunchtime and breakfast as well. Very good. Anything else you want to add to a summary, or should we call
I
it?
think that was really good. I wonder if it's like you've been using AI to help summarize that.
No, just a pencil and a pen. I've ruined one of those trees that you've spent ages saving with your solar
That's
panels,
it.
right?
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say is if anyone listening has solar panels and you've got a totally different view, or you want to come and talk to us about solar panels, just drop us a quick email. Please do. So the email address is nursingyourwaytowealth@gmail.com. And also, if you've got any thoughts, questions, anything else you want us to cover, wing them into the same address and we'll pick them up in a future episode. But for now, that's been episode 63. Alex, thank you for your time and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone.
None of what we discuss on the show is to be considered financial or health advice, and we recommend you always do your own research or consult an independent financial advisor or a doctor when making your financial or health decisions.